Hello and welcome back to Partly Crafting. My name is Thomas and today I'm going to be showing you how I made my 2025 Christmas doll. This year I decided to turn a Robyn into a winter character. I think Robins are really cute and they have a lot of meaning to my family, so I thought this would be the perfect idea. Starting with body modifications, I knew that I wanted this doll to be plus sized when I designed her, and I couldn't really find a doll that had the body type I wanted, so I went for Generation 3 Draculaura because of her short, curvy body type, and then I just chose to customize her with epoxy sculpt to give her that more plus size figure. Once all that sculpting was complete, I could unify the skin tones with multiple layers of watered down acrylic paint. And then moving on to the reroute, I'm going to be using this nylon hair fiber from dollyhair.com in the color Roasted Almond. This color's got this nice warm brown tone that really does match a robin's feathers. I'm going to begin using this fiber by splitting the hair into sections and cutting it in half. This is because her hair isn't really going to be that long, so I really want to make the most of the materials I bought. Now I can begin actually rerouting the hair into the doll's head. I do this by wrapping the hair around my finger and then sliding onto a rerouting tool I've made at home. The reroute tool is just a craft knife, and then I put an embroidery needle in it and cut the eye at an angle to make this kind of U-hook shape. I can then stab it into one of the holes of the head and repeat that about 7 bajillion times and we get a full head of hair. This is the finished look. I'm just kidding, but I'm going to be boil washing it after I do the face up, so she's going to look a bit crazy for a bit. After protecting the hair with some scrap fabric and spraying the face with 2 layers of Mr. Super Clear UV cut flat, I can begin the face up. I start the face up with just a basic sketch like any drawing, and then I start going over that with Arteza watercolor pencils and some acrylic paints. For both of my Christmas dolls so far, I really wanted to lean into that Christmassy, cartoony look like you see on a Christmas card, so I wanted to put that to the extreme with this one. So I've given her really big kind of beady eyes like a bird and lots of kind of cartoony freckles all over her face. For this doll specifically, it was really important to me to get really clean, sharp lines throughout the face up, so I chose to mostly use really thick acrylic paint with very, very thin paintbrushes to really get those sharp sweeping lines. Jumping ahead just a little bit, I filled in the eyebrows and the lips, and I'm really liking how they look. I've really been trying to mirror that type of puffy, cloudy shapes that we've got going on throughout the whole character design. Specifically focusing on the eyes, they were something that I was really struggling with because I wasn't sure whether to just make up a colour or to go with that traditional black that most birds have for their eyes. But I chose to go somewhere in the middle with these deep metallic blues that I layered on top of each other to make a really interesting layered effect. These metallic acrylic paints just really helped add some type of sheen to her eyes and made her look a lot more alive and real instead of using high gloss varnish, which I personally don't prefer just because it can be an issue when taking photographs outside. After all that, it's just time for finishing touches like eyelashes and freckles, and then this is the final result. I'm actually really happy with this face up, and I think I was able to get a lot of depth even in that cartoony style. After finishing the face up, I can remove the hair from the head wrap and begin styling her hair. As I said at the beginning, I'm really trying to stick to that natural cozy vibe, so I chose not to give her too much of an elaborate hairstyle, just a nice fringe trim, and then at the end off camera I did end up braiding 2 sections at the front and tying them together at the back, just for a little bit more interest in the hairstyle. So here are some photos of the final result of the hair, and I'm so happy with how it turned out. It looks just like how I imagined, and I think with that we can move on to clothes. So there are a couple things that made this sewing project extra interesting. One was that this body type is obviously completely made up. Because I sculpted it myself, there's no patterns I can work off of. So I did have to make my own patterns for this doll, which wasn't too difficult. I just edited the existing ones that I had in my collection. And also the fabric that I used, I actually dyed myself. So this orange fabric you're seeing is a cotton that I got off of an old tote bag, and I dyed it in a bowl with some alcohol inks, and it made this really nice kind of faded, mottled orange effect that I really like. Here I'm just showing you how I arranged the pieces together, and as you can see I'm placing the pattern pieces right sides together, and when I'm sewing them I have to sew this by hand because it's such a kind of open weave, and then whip stitch around each seam just to make sure that it's extra secure, because especially on this scale it's very easy for seams to fray and then just fall apart. After putting the sleeves in, all I had to do was close that sleeve seam along the bottom edge, and then I could move on to the skirt. Making the skirt was actually really fun and quite easy as well. So I just took this kind of M shape that I just made up on the spot really, and made the waistband size 3 times longer than it should have been, so I could gather it up into a waistband and have this really cool like high-low billowing skirt look. The silhouette works really well for that poofy soft vibe that I'm going for. Moving on to accessories, we'll start with the cloak. I dyed this material the same way that I did the shirt with the alcohol inks, and this is some type of like plush material. The cloak is made out of 2 layers. It starts with a wide teardrop shape, and then I made a little capelet on top as well. To help jazz up the look and bring that orange colour scheme back into the design, I chose to whip stitch with orange embroidery thread around the capelet. Now for the wings. I really kind of ummed and ahed on whether to add them or not, but I'm really happy I did in the end. I used a similar method that I did for the Dragon Prince Nyx doll, which you can see in the description below, where I layered multiple pieces of fabric on top of a piece of wire, and it's all kind of hot glued together, which some people don't like hot glue, but it does the job and it keeps the fabric together really secure because it gets into those fibers really well. For the wings themselves, I did choose to use a darker material than the rest of the accessories, just to kind of differentiate that, and it links in with her hair a bit more anyway. So yeah, here I'm just showing you how I have 4 layers of wings, so that's 2 for the right and 2 for the left, and a piece of wire that I'm sandwiching in between along the top edge. Because these wings are only small, I didn't feel like they needed much more posability, and I wasn't too concerned about too many layers of feathers either. I just knew that I wanted them to get the general idea across. Now the wings are done, I need a way to secure them to the doll, so I chose to drill 2 holes into the lower back of the doll so that I could connect them inside and then hot glue them in place. And with that, the doll is finally done. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, comment down below what is your favourite winter animal. I guess we can get on with the final reveal.